we'll get away to a place where we don't know. About to see the world in action, what we can be, life with no distractions. We'll get away, this is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out, die with my own doubts. Be free with me. Let's be free Now looking back, eyes on the freeway, Bonnie and Clyde, a classic cliche. We're on the run, this is what we waited for. Take my hand, we'll make it somehow. We can't miss out. I'm done living life with the lights out, die with my own doubts.
Hi, everyone. I hope you're really enjoying this summit. And just a reminder, this is the card that we were making. This is the vellum cover. And of course, those are the insides of the storybook. And you can, of course, add your own story to the inside. This is a really delicate, fun card to make. So I hope you really enjoyed making this one. And if you have any questions, I'm just going to go over a couple of few things here. Just put that off to the side. Now, if you don't have vellum, now vellum is a material where it doesn't necessarily like to be written on. It doesn't dry very well. It hates glue. It hates water. But as you can see quite through it. But this is a melt, and this one is by Brazil. If you don't have a vellum, of course, you can use tracing paper. And this is what I tend to use if I don't have any vellum on hand. And tracing paper, of course, by itself, it can be thick or it can be thin, but it is, somewhat the same thickness, and you can still see through it and get the same effect that you have, because tracing paper makes it easy for you to add ink, any other kind of thing, because it allows you to write on it and it will dry. So that is a little bit about the vellum side of it, but I love the texture of the vellum. You can actually cut it and use it as part of the inside of your storybook card as well. So as a reminder, this is the storybook card that we used. And of course, this is beautiful little cutouts, and you can add to the story as you go. A lot of people use it for a storybook for a wedding, an anniversary, or whatever that happens to be. And you can add all the different things that you want in for that particular card. Now, there's other designs that you can use using that same technique. You don't need to use the filigree that I use, but you can use any kind of your own, and that really makes a big difference too. You can come up with all kinds of other designs. Now, we've added some other designs on our YouTube channel, which is simply youtube.com/C for channel/Bets Makes Media. And we have tons of videos there on different types of materials, a lot of Cricut tips and tricks, and things that you can learn right off the bat. We also have a few challenges on there. So there's a box making challenge and a flower challenge, and you can take and look at a lot of those as well. So those are just a few of the things that you can do. And as you can see in my background, we've done quite a few different projects with Cricut. A lot of these items are on our YouTube channel, so that one's a lot of fun. But card making, it does take a little bit of imagination, especially when you want to come to the ephemera or things that go inside. Now, I've got tucked away here a few different things that we've created. There's another card here. It's just, you simply add your own sayings to it. Sorry to flip it up. So there's another card, and that's all up on YouTube as well. And there's another one with vellum. This is just my prototype, but we did do one on YouTube. Same type of thing. You have the hearts on the inside, and they are glued to a nice background. So you just have the cover coming across. So vellum is very versatile. Here's another one that we did. And of course, you can add your story on the inside. This one just used hearts instead of the delicate filigree that's on there. What else do we have here? We have all kinds of different shapes and sizes. And of course, our handmade card collection goes through a lot of them. Here's another cute little card that we made. And of course, it just folds out. So we have a lot of these in our card compendium, which you can get at betsmakes.com. And of course, on our YouTube channel, we go through a lot of different projects, not just cards, a lot of paper craft, a lot of paper flowers, all kinds of wonderful, interesting stuff. So here we go. What type of printer do you use to print on the vellum? I use my Epson, and it's a 15,000 inkjet printer. And it works quite well. And as long as I allow it to dry before I touch it and cut it or put it into my Cricut machine, it works extremely well. So that's an Epson, and it's a P15,000. Now, it could be a sublimation printer that you use as well. You just have to remember the inkjet works the best if you're going to do a print then cut with your Cricut, because laser heat sensitizes it onto the paper. The Cricut won't recognize it, whereas an inkjet printer, it'll recognize the lines. The biggest issue is don't touch the paper on the vellum till you know that it's dry to put it into your printer. Trust me, I know every mistake there is to make because I've probably made it for you. So I just give you an idea of what that is. So if you are using a printer, any inkjet will actually do. It's just making sure that it dries first. Now, the vellum is thick enough, and it's white enough that it will be able to allow the printer to go through before you put it in with your Cricut. So it's not an issue. It's just a drying issue that's more of the problem. So any other questions? I love that one. I can see using that in one of my junk. Oh, yeah, junk journals. Ginger, that's so perfect, because when it comes to junk journals and adding things, you can add ephemera. I just don't have any handy right now, but I printed out a lot of the florals that I had in one of my Mother's Day projects that we had. And I printed it on the vellum and left a little margin and then just had it cut out from there. And that worked out extremely well. It makes a really nice translucent look, and it looks perfect inside of a junk journal. So any other questions? Did it take long learning card making on the Cricut? Actually, no, it didn't. It was a good, the first thing you do is make a card, because my my original Cricut, which was a Explorer Air 2 a number of years ago. They gave cardstock, and the first thing they gave you was a template to cut your first card out. So that was easy. It was just making the shape, making sure you knew how to do a score line and folding it. And that was it. So the first part of it was really, really simple. And then you kind of graduate from there on different kinds of cards and things you can fold. There's books and books and books full of cards you can make, and I always look at them. They always look pretty complicated. So what I like to do is break them down into something fairly simple, so you can actually design them yourself in Design Space without much issue. Some of them, like this one that we did today with the filigree, I pre-designed the filigree part of it so that you didn't have to draw it yourself within Design Space, but you can pick up all kinds of different little patterns and substitute them in and out. The big key behind the card making when a storybook card is you do need a spine. And the reason you need the spine is because you need your storybook to open up and not jam the next one and try and figure out how to fold it. That's why you end up with a double line in these particular ones. So these, basically, you have 1, 2, 3, 4 cards here, and we've just glued them in the center with a double score line, and that made it a lot easier. I'm just going to see if I had any other good samples. I always hide my samples on myself back here. Let's see if I can find one more. Well, actually, I'll take this one off of here. So here's another little quick card that you can make. This one, I added this little item, iris, in it to open and close. We have that available through our website as well, and that's betsmakes.com. So we have all kinds of different cards and different designs. And you'll notice behind me as well, I love making flowers. I design the petals and everything myself. I try different types of paper. I just love paper. My latest favorite, especially for this card that we made, is a Brasilia paper. It's just thick enough that it bends, and yet it is what I call solid core. And you've probably heard of solid core before. That solid core allows you to take the paper and rip it, and it keeps the same color. You don't get that white core in between. So that has become one of my favorite papers. I also like the AC cardstock. It is also solid core. It's a little thicker and not as bendable, but those work as well. And just paper is amazing because you can make so many things with paper. You'll see pinwheels behind me. You'll see my little butterflies here. We've done, just stackable little flowers. You'll see different kinds of flowers here with different types of paper. We've even used newspaper a lot to make different things. So paper is the big key. And of course, card making to me is a lot of fun. Now, I know I'm looking a little tired to some of you. I have a bad cold, and I'm just sneezing too much in order to put a lot of makeup on. So excuse my face for looking a bit tired, but I get so excited about everything that we do. I just love working with paper. I love working with all kinds of medium on paper. And of course, we're going to have an event coming up in the beginning of July 6th to 8th. All the information isn't out yet, but if you go to betsmakes.com, you'll see that there's a freebie there. We have all kinds of projects for you to get to. I have a resource library that's available to you. We have over 400 resources in it at this point in time. And of course, our YouTube channel, which is YouTube/C/BetsMakesMedia. And you can subscribe to our channel as well. We have a lot of videos there on all kinds of different cards. So if you're looking for different folds for cards, all kinds of different things, I love to experiment with all of those different folds and all kinds of things. So there's a lot of fun to work with. So are there any other questions? How do you make your own filigree design and eliminate the area below the design? I do my designs in Illustrator. So if you don't have Illustrator, Illustrator is a little more difficult to work with. But what I do with it in Illustrator, there is a tool available to eliminate the background so it becomes transparent through the holes of the filigree. And that way I can test it out and put it over a different color background to see if there are any issues with the filigree. So Illustrator is another story. So Design Space, you could probably do it, but eliminating the different areas is a little more difficult. But if you want to learn a little bit about Illustrator, you can always ping me at any time, and I have a good place for you to go to learn Illustrator. I don't teach it per se, but my favorite teacher is Helen Bradley. You could probably look her up. She is on Skillshare. So if you get yourself a Skillshare account and then just follow Helen Bradley, you'll be able to learn Illustrator without a problem. Give you some dies, for the ins and outs. Now that's a higher end one. If you're looking for something that's a little less expensive, like free, Inkscape will work similarly, but not quite the same, and has a lot of tools. Excuse me. And of course, you can always play around inside Canva, believe it or not, to make some filigree patterns for yourself. You will have to download them as PNG files, but once you bring them up in Design Space as a PNG, you can pick the areas where you want it to be transparent, and that'll give you your filigree. Now, that was a long answer to that question, but I hope I answered that question for you. Any other questions? What weight cardstock do you use? I tend to use a 65-pound bond cardstock. So the Brasilia, sometimes a 65-80. I've gone to Staples at times, and they have what they call an Astro Bright pack. They're 8.5 by 11. That's a beautiful cardstock, and a lot of the stuff that I used inside this card came from the Astro Brights. So I just picked 3 colors. This is 65-pound bond here. And I find it's flexible enough, but sturdy enough. It's not going to fall apart when you go to do those intricate cuts. Any other questions? Were the double score lines the same distance apart in each layer? Yes, they actually are, so that they nest properly. And then when you fold, you can make them slightly smaller if you're finding that your cardstock is too thick. But I found the way we had done it, that they fit in just perfectly. I did a couple of them just to test it out. So you can create your own in that way. And it's just making sure everything fits in the fold line. And so you can open it, and you're able to open your card in this direction. Let's see it. How do you design your own edging design and cut away the part below your design? I'm not sure if I understand, but I'll just hold one of these up and you can just let me know. So this is an edging we did. This is another card with a vellum. So what we did here is these, let me get my hand going in the right direction. These are circles. So we put the 3 circles together with a rectangle and then welded them together. And then that gave me that edge. And then what I did is then I added a heart shape, and I added 3 heart shapes, welded those together, and then sliced it from the card itself, and then that ended up with the background, so that was transparent, so you can see right through it. I think this is all glued together, but basically this is just in behind. So that was the basic thing. I'll just say it one more time. What we do is you start with your block, the size of your card like this. You would put your circles in over top, exactly where you want them to go. Add a rectangle to match those and weld that together. And then you've got the shape you want and the size that you want. Then take your shapes like the hearts, put those into place, weld the hearts together. So you're slicing once, and then select the hearts and the new shape that you did and slice, and then you'll get your piece that you're looking for your edging. I hope that answers your question. Excuse me. Sorry, can you say your YouTube channel? Yes, it's Bette Makes Media. Bette Makes Media. Do you make your own envelopes too? Yes, I do. I don't always put them in a lot of my projects, but I have some easy envelope making videos actually on the YouTube channel. And then I will be doing an envelope class coming up probably for our summer summit, which is July 6th to 8th. So make sure you get on the mailing list so you're able to be informed about what we're going to do in that aspect of it. So we have all kinds of wonderful things coming up. We're going to have some product demos, that type of thing. So any other questions about our card, our storybook card at Bette Daoust? What is the most complicated project you've ever made with a Cricut? I made a 3D teapot. That thing drove me insane before I was finished with it. And I don't have it out on the display right now, but I have like this flower pot, which was quite similar. This was all done with paper with 3D. So I learned from my teapot, which had a spout, a handle, a lid, all kinds of things. It was a lot of fun. And then, of course, we've done a couple of things on making 3D paper houses. And I don't know if I have any behind me here right now. I do have one, but it's buried back there. Sorry. So a lot of 3D stuff. I love making 3D, designing it, how it fits together. So we've done quite a few things like that as well. Any other questions? I know we've got about a minute left. Just make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel because that's where we host a lot of our summits. And of course, go to betsmakes.com. I have a Cricut tips and tricks book. You'll see a pop-up that comes up. Sign up for that. You'll get emailed that. Then I email a couple of gifts from there. And of course, on betsmakes.com, if you go /shop, go into our shop, we have a nice bundle ready for you on sale right now for $29. Three of our ebooks that generally sell for $120 on for $29. And you can grab that bundle. I'm going to leave it live as long as Brandy's Summit is still live and going. I will make that available to you as well. What are some of the examples that we can put in the card? Now, that's an interesting thing. If you have been to Creative Fabrica or Design Bundles, what you do in your search is you can type in birthday greetings, and they actually have these bundles of birthday greetings and things to put in on your cards. I am always at a loss for words when it goes to cards. So I generally go to places like Creative Fabrica or Font Bundles, Design Bundles, and take a look at what greetings they have, and then take a look at those sayings, put them in my own font, or simply just download what they have to offer. I hope that answers the question a bit, Claudia. Any other questions? That's a wrap. All right. And thank you, Brandy. This has been such a great experience. I just love presenting, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of your summit. This has been an amazing experience. So we'll see you all next time. And don't forget, Bette Makes Media on YouTube.